Coach, the energy out there felt different. What changed for the team today?
It was the new game day scratchers from the California Lottery. Players, everything. Those games sent the team's energy through the roof.
Are you saying it was the off-field play that made the difference on the field?
Hey, a little play makes your day, and today, it made the game. That's all for now.
Coach, one more question.
Play the new Los Angeles Chargers, San Francisco 49ers, and Los Angeles Rams Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Hi, I'm Sherry Harris, owner of Life Source Water. As a new grandmother and lifelong Californian, I care about what's in the water my family uses every day. For over 40 years, our whole house water system has protected Bay Area families with filtered water from every tap. Now we are offering a double dip in savings. Free basic installation plus an extra $250 off. That's up to $1,200 in savings. Call our factory at 1-800-WATER-99 or visit lifesourcewater.com. Hurry, offer ends September 30.
Warranty limitations apply.
Support American-made tariff-free clothing with American Giant. They aren't affected by tariffs because their clothing products never left the U.S. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.
In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
Hour number 3 of Freedom Fools with the fool himself. I'm Brian. Glad to be with you on this. You know what? We're going to get a thunderstorm. I can feel it. I can see how the trees are swaying in the breeze. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's happening. The Brian's Beat quote of the day. The soldiers never explained to the government when an Indian was wronged, but reported the misdeeds of the Indians. The soldiers never explained to the government when an Indian was wronged, but reported the misdeeds of the Indians. How true, how true. I don't know, I wasn't around back then. That quote from Geronimo. I wonder if Geronimo was the first or the last name. I think for this conversation, it doesn't matter. Geronimo works. Here's something that will work for this hour's conversation, and you're more than welcome to join us. It deals with rent control. If the people behind a ballot initiative get up the required signatures and the legislature either sits on their hands or decides to go along with what they're doing or let them continue to do what they're doing, there will be a ballot question November of 2026, first Tuesday, which basically would limit the amount of rent. Well, no, it allows you to vote on this to limit the annual rent increase for residential units here in the Commonwealth to the annual increase in the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, or 5%, whichever is lower. Now, there are some caveats, and we're going to get into that during our program today. But joining us is one of the community organizers for the United Interfaith Action. Her name is Tracy Albanese. Good afternoon, and welcome to Freedom Fools.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So tell us your story. You're with the group that is backing this measure. Maybe we should start by saying congratulations. And what are your next steps?
Yeah, so at UIA, we go out in the community, we listen to the community, and then we decide what issues we're going to work on based on what the community wants us to work on. And we do this in both Fall River and New Bedford. And 2 years ago, when we did community listening, housing was the number one issue in both of our cities. And so some of the things that we do is we advocate for legislation in the State House or locally. And so we have been advocating for, there is a current legislation for rent stabilization. The Homes for All Massachusetts organization is not confident that the legislature will pass that. So that's why they've put in this petition for the ballot question to go on the ballot in November of 2026.
I think anybody who's on this side of the earth realizes that rents have skyrocketed, just like housing prices have skyrocketed. But are you sure rent stabilization is the correct route to go?
So the idea behind this ballot is it's not crazy. It's a very modern type of rent stabilization or rent control, if you want to call it that. It's really targeted at corporate landlords who are coming into our state, who are buying up properties, jacking up rents, and forcing long-term residents of communities to be displaced. So this is legislation that's, like you said, it's the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, or up to 5%. It exempts owner-occupied landlords who have four or less units. It exempts new construction up to 10 years. So it's not going to stop people from wanting to build housing, which is what we desperately need, is more housing being built. It's exempt from like people who have Section 8 vouchers or who are in public housing.
But those are controlled by the state or the federal government anyway.
Yes, exactly. So that's why they're exempt. So it's really...
I'm glad you said that, because when I think of Section 8, 707 type housing, those properties aren't owned by the city, aren't owned by the state. They're usually owned by big corporate players.
They can be. It can be an owner-occupied landlord. If you have a voucher...
No, not owner-occupied. Yeah. I'm talking about, owned by these corporations that you're saying you're going after.
So they would be exempt. I think so. My understanding of that.
So I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking, if I'm in that corporate game, I'm going to try to get more properties and have people with these vouchers get in. So at least I'm getting a steady
guaranteed rent.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that good?
I I can't speak for that. I'm not really sure. This is landlords that are buying properties where someone's been renting for many years, and now they've doubled their rent. We've heard of people whose rent got tripled. That's just insane.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me some of your stories. You work the area mostly on the Fall River side of of town, but what's happening in Fall River is easily happening in New Bedford.
For sure. Yeah, so I think in both cities, it's the train came in, and there was some landlords who were greedy and said, "Hey, I can get, $2,500 now for an apartment where the person was maybe paying, $1,000, and so their rent has been doubled or more than that."
So, do you have a fear? I've been saying this for the longest time, that there are going to be more and more people coming down from the greater Boston area because they're going to say, "Hey, look, I can get rent a lot less down here for 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom than what I'm paying up in the city."
It's already happened. I think it's going to continue. Yeah.
I think there are people that are telling me, no, they're not going to do that.
I know people that have done that.
Yeah.
But, maybe they might have done it 20 years ago, but people have been doing that for a long time. This is just now, I think, going to be exasperated because they have the commuter rail. So it's going to be easier for them.
So the best way to try to curb this would be rent control?
That's what we believe, yes.
I think you're going to win. I am not for rent control.
Yeah.
I think you're going to win. I think that there are too many pissed off people right now.
Yeah.
And they're going to just say they're going to see that ballot question wherever it pops up. In fact, there'll be people that are going to go in there, where's that rent control? And they're going to check it off.
Yeah.
I think that's the tenor of the backyard right now. And I think that probably permeates throughout the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I think people who are even homeowners understand it. They know that we're in a housing crisis.
But what about that homeowner? Oh, if it's owner occupied, it's different.
Correct.
Okay.
They're totally exempt.
But who can afford to buy a house right now?
Well, yeah.
So where do you fit into all of this, besides being a community organizer?
Yeah, so myself, for the last over 10 years, I've been a licensed realtor. I've struggled, to even afford my own housing, even though it's my job to help others find housing. I can't often help the people I want to help, people who have Section 8 vouchers looking to rent, first-time homeowners who can't get qualified for whatever reason. And so I know what it's like to struggle to find housing that I can afford.
So housing you can afford for yourself or housing for the people that you're
both
helping? Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's really hard to help people who, they're the financing for first-time home buyers. There's great programs, but for some people, they just don't make enough.
Well, I'm looking at some of these homes that are for sale. You say there are good programs out there. What's the down payment? What's the good? Is it 5, 10, 15, 20%?
I think that's a huge misconception that people think you need 20% down. There are programs that are 20% down, but first-time home buyer programs you can put is like little as like 3.5% down.
Well, 3.5% of $100,000 is $3,500 bucks.
Yep.
So if we're looking at a $600,000 property, you're over 20,000.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Who? Maybe I'm wrong. How many people can save up that kind of money in this day and age? And if I'm not mistaken, if you are getting in at 3.5%, there's probably a PMI on the other side.
Exactly. Yeah. That's so. I mean, people save. You can get money. How
can you save if you can't afford rent?
Yeah.
How are you saving? Well, I guess maybe if you're living with mom and dad.
That's the thing. Yeah. It's tough, and then we're just short units. That's we didn't build housing. We didn't consistently build housing for the last 20 years. So there's just not enough units for people who need housing.
So if we had more units, does that bring the price down? Does it make it more competitive?
Yes. So the more units.
So why do we need rent control?
Because it's going to take a while to build to get more units, because construction takes time. But people need help now.
Don't we have buildings? Yep. Yes, they do. Certainly. If you want to join in on this conversation with Tracy and myself, 508-996-0500. This ballot question, at the earliest, comes up in November of 2026. So we're talking another 14 months. Mm-hmm. So, as you stated, and I won't argue this at all, you need units now. What do you do over the next 14 months?
I mean, obviously, people need to be building more units, and people are building more units. But this is one piece to the solution.
If we get more units, does the rent control go away?
I don't think so, because I don't think we're going to have the number of units that we're short in the time that this ballot will come out. We'll have some units, but we're not going to have enough.
How many units do we need, roughly?
Oh man, I can't remember how many in the whole Commonwealth that we're short. It's thousands. I'm not sure if it's like 20,000. It's a lot.
20,000. And how many in the backyard?
Like in this area?
Yes.
Oh, I want to say it's like 6,000.
6,000. And how many? I mean, it seems that when these units come together, you might have 12 units, 18 units, 20 units. So far cry off.
Yeah, if you go towards Boston, there's lots of like large rental developments. We don't have a lot of that in the South Coast. You go out to Providence, you find them. more so towards Boston, but there's not a lot of that around here.
So there was something, and I'm not sure that you know about this, but in the substandard times, as I like to call it, where somebody wants to develop a particular area, but I think there's already a building on the site, and the head of the local NAACP is fighting against it. I know you know her. But it seems that units are to be built. She wants units to be built, but it's like not in my backyard.
NIMBYism is a big problem.
Well, I look at, okay, so there's that thing right there. I also see throughout the Commonwealth many areas where land has been taken over for community preservation, not necessarily the housing, but, okay, we want open space. And yeah, open space is nice, but you've got so much open space that nobody's building a house or houses or apartment complexes in order for people to live and then go some other part of the community to enjoy open space.
Well, we do have I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but there is a way that you can actually build housing and have open space on the same property. And it actually gives the developer some incentives by doing that. So there are some interesting, alternatives so that we can preserve open space but still build housing.
508-996-0500 to get onto the program today. Good afternoon. You're on with our guest, Tracy Albernez.
Yeah, good morning, Brian. Good afternoon, Brian. Good afternoon, Tracy. You're failing to mention who created this whole problem. It's the politicians. The politicians have created this problem by all these government subsidies for rental assistance. And in the state of Massachusetts, over 300,000 illegal aliens in here that are taking up all these rental apartments. And Maury Healy now is the home base project where they got them out of the airports into hotels, into homeless shelters, and now she's going to get them into apartment buildings. So why aren't you mentioning this?
Okay, okay. You asked. Let's hear her answer. And hold tight. I'll let you follow up.
The housing crisis has been happening for last 20 years. This is not having undocumented people here is not their whole reason, in my opinion.
That's a big reason. And then over 20 years, we've been getting a lot, especially in New Bedford. We have over 20,000 illegal aliens here, and many people, especially elderly, are having a hard time finding affordable apartments and lack thereof because the government, these big, like Brian said, these corporations and out-of-state investors, they're gobbling up all these tenement homes, and they're relying on the government subsidies so they can get rich. And putting many people out in the street are having a hard time finding apartments. You don't want to mention this because that's the elephant in the room. You want to blame everybody else. A landlord that's holding on to his house, these are the bad guys according to you. But what about electric and natural gas control? Why aren't you beating the drum up there? We're being ripped off too. Are you talking about that? Our politicians, they're making a lot of money up in Beacon Hill, and they're creating the problem. But you just want to say it's the landlord, and you're wrong.
Thank you for the call.
I don't disagree about the utility companies. They should be regulated for sure. Don't disagree with you on that. I do disagree with you on blaming immigrants. This country is built on immigrants. So I disagree with you on that. But we can disagree.
Just going to throw this out there to follow up on what he stated. I don't necessarily agree with what he stated, but if the president was ever to eradicate all of the illegals, would there be enough space? Would it mean that you don't have to worry about rent control anymore?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either, but I thought I would ask. So he did bring up a couple of good points. The more people that you do have here legally, illegally, and that we could be talking about folks coming down from Boston as opposed to people coming from Afghanistan for sake of conversation. There's only so many units. And you're in the real estate business. Can't you talk to whomever your overlord is to say, hey, we need more housing? And I'm sure, look, I know Paul Chase very well. I know he knows we need more housing. But don't you have to take that up to Beacon Hill?
As far as the South Coast is concerned, it's going to cost the same amount to build housing here in the South Coast as it is in Boston, but you don't get the same return on your investment. So they can charge more rents in Boston. There's better paying jobs in Boston than there is down here. So investors look closer to the city.
That was what the train was for. Look, I know you're right on point with that, but isn't that what they said about the train? The train was going to help cure some of that. People, they don't have to commute as much. People are working from home. All of these jerk responses that aren't working.
Yeah.
Pardon me for saying it like that. No, don't pardon me. I mean it. I mean it, really. I'm still caught because I was on the side of the street that fought against rent control back in the 1990s. I'm still on that side of the street. But I can't help but think that there are so many other people that are in your camp that are thinking the exact same way that you're thinking today. And I'm at a loss to actually try to figure out how to keep you from winning. I just think that people are going to just go into that ballot box and they're going to make that check.
In 1994, last time we had something like this, it failed only by a small amount.
Mm-hmm.
And 1994 to today, we're living in a completely different economy and circumstances. I agree with you. I think it will pass. Now, if the legislature passed the bill that they have, it gives local municipalities the option to do it. If this ballot question passes, it's every municipality will have to adopt it.
So in other words, if I'm understanding you correctly, we the people should be pitching Beacon Hill lawmakers to pass a bill that we really don't want passed, but at least we can turn around to our own community and say we don't want it in our backyard.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's going to be in your backyard whether you want it or not.
Yes.
Wow. How does that make you feel? 508-99605. I hate it when I'm right. You know? I really, well, no, I don't. I like to be right. But, Tracy, this is unbelievable. How does it make you feel? I mean, you're a realtor. The housing, how long have you been a realtor?
Over 10 years.
Over 10 years. So I'm going to guess, let's see, that would be 2015. So at least half of that time, the housing stock has been thin. The rental stock as thin, if not thinner.
And then the COVID pandemic just exacerbated that.
What did it do?
Because we had people buying houses in our area from cities, not from other states. So there was a time when people couldn't even buy a house because people were coming in with cash from other places, could work anywhere because they were working remotely.
And they still have the properties, or did they turn around and sell them now that?
I mean, I don't personally have statistics on that, but I bet you they're probably still living in those houses
or renting them out.
Yeah, and then in Forever New Bedford, long-term owner-occupied folks sold those houses for triple what they've been worth. And so people that were living in those units that were maybe paying I know people that paid $600 for rent. I mean, of course, that sounds crazy, but anywhere from $600 to $1,200. Now that that new owner has to increase the rents because they just bought it for $600,000, a tenement house, and those folks can't afford that. And so,
why'd they buy it then? Because somebody told them, well, you can always jack up the rent because the rents are below market value the way that they are. And that squeeze. Look, we have a person who calls the station. I'm sure you know these kind of stories. Got kicked out of his place, and for the longest time he couldn't find a unit. I think the mayor was going to try to help him out. I'm not sure how that ended, but same type of story. Do you think that there are forces working like puppet strings in this particular case? You know, we are dancing, trying to figure out, can we afford this rent? Now you got to go work this job. Because there are people that can't find jobs that can pay the rent. So rents are going up. I guess people need to go out and find a job that's able to pay that rent.
Good luck. I have a college degree. I've worked many different industries, and after the pandemic, I struggled for almost 2 years to find a job. I went back to school. I went up to Boston to get like a certificate program. I struggled to get a job.
You and how many others?
Exactly.
Maybe that is what needs to be looked at better. Not thinking that your measure here dealing with rent control, and I know you're just one of thousands, but I think it's the money because so you get favorable rent control. Is that are we going to do rent stabilization over at the grocery store? Are we going to do rent stabilization with Eversource or National Grid, depending on who you're talking? Do we get to do the same thing with Comcast or whomever your cable provider is?
I see it as like you need shelter to survive. So that's why this is important. And I agree with you that the utilities are out of control. Grocery prices
you need
are out of
food to
control.
Eat.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't know. I don't know if that's something that anybody has tackled before. They have tackled this, so we have precedents for
rent control.
For rent control.
Well, but to your point, there was a time when 1994 didn't exist and different communities could have rent control. Mm-hmm. If I recall, there were 3 communities here in the Commonwealth that had rent control, and we wiped it out for all 3 of them.
Yep.
Why couldn't someone down the road do a ballot question that does stabilization on utility rates, does stabilization on gasoline prices? You know, just keep on attacking the private sector. Stabilization on home sale prices. All of a sudden, we don't have an open economy anymore.
I don't know if anybody will attempt to do that, but I think legally they're allowed. I think legally they're allowed to. I'm not 100% sure.
All right. How would you like to wrap this up?
No more callers?
Not at this time.
Okay. We are collecting signatures. We have to get so many signatures by the end of the year. So if people are interested in collecting signatures or learning more about this ballot petition, they can go to homesforallmass.org and get more information.
Homesforallmass.org.
Yep.
And when do you start doing the signature drive?
Right now.
Really? You already got the paperwork?
I don't have them.
How did you guys get your paperwork already?
I don't have them today, but I know that they'll be ready, I believe, on Monday.
Wow. And where are you going to start collecting?
We'll be doing that in the, Fall River, New Bedford area. But
are you a grocery store type person?
We have done that. Yep.
Where are you going to be?
We do also do it. Where am I personally going to be?
Yeah, where are you personally going to be?
I haven't figured that out yet, but we do community events in the area. We're having some mayoral races forums for the mayor's race. Well, not in New Bedford, but in Florida for the mayor's race, and city council and school committee. So we'll have papers there too if folks are interested.
Wow. 75,000 signatures. How many do you think you're going to need to make sure you got your certification?
Yeah, you're gonna have to get more than that because some folks sign it and they don't realize they can't, or they move, or they can't read the handwriting, or
What do you mean? What? Oh, because where they say, oh, then mine is never going to be any good because I do scrimshaw.
I always sign mine and then I print too, so they know it's me.
All right, Tracy, I thank you so much for coming in and talking about this. My guess is that between now and the end of the signature campaign, we'll have this topic coming up a couple of times. And as we get to November of 2026, it's going to rear its ugly head, positive, negative, however way you feel. And when people, because a lot of my listeners, especially the Monday through Friday listenership, they at least talk like they're not for rent control. When they start realizing that you guys went out there and you got 150,000 signatures needing only 74,000 and change, it's gonna be a wake-up call.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a wake-up call. And
I hope, and I pray and hope that they will never be in the situation that some of us have been in, where they reach a certain age and they get priced out of where they live and can't afford rent somewhere. Because it happens to a lot of elderly folks.
How is you stated something that before I let you out the door, I want to follow up on. Is what we're experiencing here? I know it's happening in San Francisco and coastal communities in California. Are the Tennessee cities, Nashville, Knoxville, Memphis, are there other communities, other states that are thinking they might need to do this rent control thing too?
Not Nashville. I've been there a few times over the last 5 or so years, and every time I go there are construction cranes everywhere. They are building housing like you would not believe. So they are doing what they should be doing.
Well,
at a great,
it's a huge state.
Yeah, and the tourism in Nashville is huge. So,
so not there.
I don't think so there. No.
What about New Hampshire?
I don't know a lot about their market. So I really can't. I can't speak to that.
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. I mean, they're building. Yeah, maybe probably not on the level they need to be either. You know. Gotcha.
Tracy Albanese, thank you so much for coming in studio today and talking to us about this measure. I'm going to keep both eyes on it, but there are a lot of ballot questions out there this year that I'm going to be keeping an eagle eye on. So thank you. 508-996-0500 is how you get on Freedom Fools on WBSM.
You never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, you must build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete.
If people don't own things, they don't feel ownership of the country they're in. And the country gets super volatile because people feel like they've got nothing to lose. It's really hard to have a family without a house.
Preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Somehow that got in there, but that's fine. 508-996-0500. As Tracy Albanese was about to leave, we actually got a call, somebody who wanted to ask a question. I said, can you stay? And she said yes. So she's still here. Tracy is the community, or one of the community organizers for United Interfaith Action. We've been talking about rent control. Chances are it's going to be a ballot question in November of 2026. Thank you for your patience. You're on with Tracy.
Hey, good afternoon. Tracy, I just have a question for you. Maybe I missed it if you mentioned it, but you did say that you've owned properties in the past. Are you a property owner now and a landlord?
I don't think I didn't mention anything about owning. I have owned my own house when I was actually in my 20s. But then I've been a renter.
You're not in
since
your
then.
20s anymore?
No, I'm not. Sadly,
she's lying. She's lying.
Okay, I was curious because
what I didn't say, I think, is that I've struggled to find housing on my own, so I actually live with family. That's my situation.
Yeah, gotcha. I wasn't sure because it would seem odd. And my question, if you had answered yes, you are a current landlord, I'd ask you what you're charging for rent. If you're charging market rate because you have to, or are you keeping them down to, $350 for a 3-bedroom, $250 for a 2-bedroom sort of thing because you feel it the fair thing to do?
If I own property, and that's a goal of mine someday, that is exactly what I would do. I would keep my rents as low as possible. I wouldn't be profiting. I wouldn't be profiting off of people if I don't have to.
Have you spoken to landlords out there that are barely scraping by?
Yeah, we actually have some.
And trying to be fair?
Yeah, I do know some folks that are doing that. And the ones that I do know who are owner occupied, they're struggling with, they have to raise the rents because the water bill is going up or their taxes are going up. And so they feel really bad that they have to raise their rent, and they explain to their tenants, this is why I have to raise it. But those folks are actually exempt from this ballot question, right, if they're owner occupied.
Gotcha. It seems, I think in different areas of activism, different focuses of local activism, this pops up periodically, and it always seems to be the same people that are coming out, the anti-capitalist people saying, this is unfair, so we're going to fight against it. Whether they, it might force them or encourage them to rise up and buy a home themselves.
Slow down. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. You didn't. Who is going to turn around and buy stuff?
The people that are complaining about it. If the tenant,
I'm sorry. There's more than one group that you brought up. Are you talking about the landlord people that would be complaining, or the tenant people?
The tenant people.
Okay.
The tenant people, that they're mad because rent keeps going up, but wages don't keep going up. But that's capitalism. That's market value. If the market value goes up in a certain area because it's more popular, then it is what it is. So I see. It may sound harsh, but there's a lot of jealousy going on, and it hinges on racism in a lot of cases, and that kind of upsets me because it's a misnomer. It's misleading. But it's a convenient excuse for people to complain about things. So anyways, I could go on this for hours. So you two have a good day.
You too. Tracy, you want to comment?
I don't really have much to say about that. I think the average person who's a renter would love to own their own home if they could afford it. Some people like to rent. They don't have to worry about, the hot water heater breaks or they need a new roof. But as long as their unit is safe,
clean and comfortable.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people that don't live in that kind of situation. They live with landlords who are collecting rent but are not doing basic things. One of our leaders in Fall River, an older woman, disabled, had been living in her apartment for a long time. She was paying 90% of her income in rent. 90% of her income in rent. She had no money for a car.
Was she always, or did the price jump up?
Yeah, she wasn't always in that state. She became disabled. She was on disability, and when it would rain outside, it would rain in her apartment. And when she spoke up about it, she got retaliated against, and the landlord jacked up her rent because he knew she couldn't afford it. Thankfully, she's in a place now where she's only paying 30% of her income for her rent. But yeah, I think people want
what you're describing is, and well, rent control or not, what will eventually happen is if people can't afford to pay rent right now and you are allowed to jack it up 5% every year, if they can't afford it down before you jack it up 5% every year, they're still up a creek without a paddle.
It's one solution to a big problem.
But I'm not sure that it is a solution.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, since you decided to stay, the law would not apply to units. I thought it said something else. Don't have my glasses on, sorry. The law would apply to units in owner-occupied buildings with 4 or fewer units. Got that. Units that are subject to regulation by a public authority. 707, Section 8, those type of units. Units rented to transient guests for periods of less than 14 days. Bed and breakfast, that type of stuff?
Yeah, I think hotels.
Okay. Units operated for educational, religious, or nonprofit purposes. What does that mean?
A college has housing for their students. They can charge what they want.
Religious.
I'm not sure. Maybe people are in seminary school or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But
nonprofit purposes. What I'm getting at here is
sure.
you can turn around and start a nonprofit housing co-op, and you would not be subject.
Yeah. I mean, there are nonprofits that own housing.
Yes.
Often it's...
for rehab purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they have a program, like a recovery program or something like that. So,
all right, here's the other one. And units that received their residential certificate of occupancy within the last 10 years.
So that's new construction.
10 years that's a long time.
Yeah. So I believe in the legislation that's currently at the State House, it's 5 years. And they've decided to change that to allow the developer to pay off the construction costs
over time.
Yep.
At the same time, does it have to be totally new construction? For instance, a rehab job isn't totally new construction. Would that then qualify? I'm just looking for what could be a legal loophole here.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but...
You play one...
Dwelling units for which the first residential certificate of occupancy is less than 10 years old. I would take that first as not being rehab.
Yeah, I would too.
So.
All right. So thank you this time. I really appreciate you coming in
for having me.
And trying to explain all of this. I hope you come back.
Sure.
Because this is going to be hair-raising tales, and I think the poop is going to hit the fan sometime after May of next year, because the legislature will have its chance to go up or down, look at the bill that's pending, and whether they go yay or nay on it, I don't know. But what I always recommend to folks, no matter what the legislature does, you keep your initiative going, because they can promise you one thing and then turn around and screw you over. So, not that I want you to win in this particular, but look, it is what it is.
It's our right to put in. There's 47 ballot questions, I believe that.
We're down to 43 plus
43, okay.
One of the groups that I spoke to the other day, they've already taken 3 of their questions that were certified out of the game.
There were a few that were like almost similar.
Yeah.
So,
well, and as I found out, they do that in order to, test the water. How strong is this? One particular one eliminated something, or another one just kind of regulated.
Right.
So you got stuff like that going on. Again, Tracy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Brian. We have one more segment to go. Hold tight.
Not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer. It's bad that everyone else is getting poorer. And it's especially bad, the young people can't afford homes. Normal people with normal jobs no longer believe they can win in this system, and that all the money is going to the worst people. And no one even stops to ask what the hell is going on. So that is a national emergency.
I think he's right. And I think we're going to have a Bay State emergency. We do. Tracy Albanese is absolutely correct. We're at a crisis right now when it comes to housing. Not enough housing. Skyrocketing rents. Never mind trying to save up money to buy a home. We are in one of those deep doo-doo type of things. Mike, thanks again to Tracy Albanese, community organizer. You can find her at United Interfaith Action. And the website, if you're down with the program, they're looking for signatures. I've already admitted it's not my cup of tea, but you're more than welcome. I'm going to give you the website, and you can check them out, and you can sign their petition if you so desire. HomesForAllMass.org. Homes for, spelled out FOR, allmass.org. So there you have it. And I know many of you are biting your tongue. You're thinking, why would I even have them on the show? Look, open and honest. I like people that are activists. I'm an activist myself. It's not my particular cause, but I appreciate the fact that somebody's out there fighting. And I can ask them questions. I can agree to disagree. And we do that a lot on this show because, quite frankly, most of the time you don't agree with me anyway. But that's the dialogue part of it. That's what the United States of America is supposed to be all about. So, I do believe, I really do believe in this particular case, they're going to win. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I think they've got the people behind them. And if the people voted in, we can be upset at the people for voting it in. We can say they're ignorant, all of the above. But that's where the majority vote takes over. And I live in this state. I know I have the right of the vote, and I know that I can be voted down by other people. And I would rather have that right than not have it. And I think it becomes a point where at least this person says, the people outvoted me. They're not trying to kill me. So let's see what happens. 1994, my side won. 2026, my side might not lose. I might not win. Another 30 years, might have to turn around and vote the opposite way. 80 degrees in Lakeville, 78 in Swansea, 77 in New Bedford. I am in for Barry Monday and Tuesday this week, and I'll also be doing Brian's Beat. Ken Pittman will be doing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for Barry. I'll be back the following Monday for Barry. Adios. Have yourself an excellent weekend and prepare for rain.
Traveling around from town to town. Sometimes I think I'll settle down, but I know I'd hunger to be free. Roving's the only life for me. Adrift in the world is my friend.
Coach, the energy out there felt different. What changed for the team today?
It was the new game day scratchers from the California lottery. Players everything. Those games sent the team's energy through the roof.
Are you saying it was the off-field play that made the difference on the field?
Hey, a little play makes your day, and today, it made the game. That's all for now.
Coach, one more question.
Play the new Los Angeles Chargers, San Francisco 49ers, and Los Angeles Rams Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Support American-made tariff-free clothing with American Giant. They aren't affected by tariffs because their clothing products never left the U.S. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.
Hi, I'm Sherry Harris, owner of LifeSource Water. As a new grandmother and lifelong Californian, I care about what's in the water my family uses every day. For over 40 years, our whole house water system has protected Bay Area families with filtered water from every tap. Now we are offering a double dip in savings. Free basic installation plus an extra $250 off. That's up to $1,200 in savings. Call our factory at 1-800-WATER-99 or visit LifeSourceWater.com. Hurry, offer ends September 30.
Warranty limitations apply.